All right, well, maybe not everything's changed, but a lot has changed. And in today's video, we're going to go through the Path of Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt update video that Path of Exile released, giving us a taste of things that are coming to the game. Now, if you've already seen this video and you've already watched tons of other content creators like Darth Microtransactions or what have you, you're not going to find anything new. I just want to be entirely transparent and upfront with you. For those that have not seen all that content, in my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge of my video, what we'll be seeing with Dawn of the Hunt, the new, I don't want to call it a DLC, but the new major patch, content patch coming to Path of Exile 2, we'll be seeing, as you can see here, a new class, new Ascendancies for existing classes. That's a total of 5 Ascendancies that we'll be seeing for the Warrior, the Mercenary. It's called a Lich. It's for the Necromancer. So we'll be seeing a lot of really fun additions, right? We know that we're going to be getting a total of 3 Ascendancies per class. And with the new class that we're getting, we're going to be seeing 2 of those 3 Ascendancies. And our current repertoire of class are going to be having their additional Ascendancies added in. A character system improvements as a whole be added into the game, endgame improvements, and new endgame content. So a lot of things are going to be improved upon. Basically, they wanted to make it so that the endgame wasn't as punishing to begin with, as big of a grind. They wanted to get rid of the keystone issues that were existing, but they also wanted to add a lot of really fun elements. So in this today, we're going to go through all of that, but in my typical fashion of upfronting things, I wanted to respect your time and give you the down and dirty of what this entire video is like. So if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to go ahead and shut the video down, or if you've already seen this, again, please feel free to go ahead and boot on off. But before you head out, please don't forget to like, comment, and or subscribe. Each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. Let's get started here on the Path of Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt. Everything has changed. So we're going to do this kind of low tech. I just rebuilt a brand new computer, so if the sound gets messed up or anything like that, I apologize. I've been troubleshooting for the last 24 hours, and hopefully I got everything right here. So we're going to keep the volume pretty low here, but the biggest thing, of course, is going to be the brand new class added in. Now, the Huntress is, let me get into the actual like meat and potatoes of this bad boy. Is awesome because the Huntress adds a brand new mechanic to the game in a parry. It plays with a lot of really fun elementals. They really wanted to create a fun hybrid between melee and ranged in a way that is entirely unique. I'm really excited about the Huntress because javazon is one of my favorite builds. It's not just a class, right? Amazon is the class in Diablo 2, but the javazon build is one of my favorite builds. And I know we got the Diablo 4 had like the Spirit Walker or whatever it's called in the most recent DLC, and it didn't really hit home for me. This, I think, is really going to hit home for a lot of people, because they're going to be able to combine a lot of really fun elements, and they bring something akin to like a Dark Souls pairing mechanic. Now, it's not a pairing timed mechanic. You simply hold down and it does a pairing system, but you'll see here as we jump through this, there's a lot of really fun things to be added in. So let's jump through and take a look here. We'll go a little bit forward into the Huntress because that's the big focus of this section. But I'll turn this up a little bit because I want to show off that parry because it's coming.
You can also throw twisters inside a whirlwind.
Right around here. Well, this kind of talks about how like the elements work, because there's a lot of really fun elemental play. So now you'll see grant skill parry, right? You see this over here. Works it alongside block chance and evasion, so we'll see that as the new buckler. Well, I think the bucklers have always been in the game. So that's the parry. So you see that little blip. So basically, whenever you parry things, you simply hold down. You don't need to time it. You hold down just like you would for block. They jump up and they get parried. They get a brief little like stun, and that little glow means they're going to take additional damage. This is a really fun mechanic that I'm sure there's going to be plenty of ways to play with this. And keep in mind, anything that I'm talking about and showing off with the Huntress is not unique to the Huntress. Remember, it's unique to the spear skill, which is added with Huntress, or the spear weapon, and the buckler that we just saw, right? Like, she doesn't get that ability. It's bound to the weapon. This little guy right there gives parry, right? Grant skill parry, just like a shield blocks or gives a skill block. So this is going to give us a lot of really fun play styles to really play around with, and some uniques that they've showcased that could possibly play in between all that. So you see some really basic elemental action here with the Huntress. Well, the Huntress here, Let me bring that down a little bit. I don't know. In my headphones, it sounds way louder. What's really cool is there's frenzy charges that are a part of this class. There's a lot of different elements that aren't just simply chucking a spear or parrying things. You wombo combo with those frenzy charges, which is cool because this is one of the first classes that we're seeing just out the gate gets these frenzy charges immediately. Like, again, I know other classes get frenzy charges, but I'm saying like this is a class that really hinges itself upon it. The warrior has a lot of frenzy access. Definitely can be queued in with a lot of the node selections, right? But this is cool that it's just really baked into the base portions of this kit. There are a lot of really fun frenzy charge expenditure with the warrior, but this is nice that it just kind of seems as part of the general play style of this character, which is something I assume we'll see with the duelist and or the berserker as well. But you can see there's a lot of acrobatic movement. It's a very evasion-based class. It's got a lot of movement attached to it, but I talked a little bit about some of that. Why is that doing that? I talked a little bit about some of the elementals. So all these elemental abilities can be comboed together to create really fun, drastic things. Like you can use tornadoes to then imbue them with fire or lightning or ice and have these different elemental tornadoes ripping around the battlefield. And this is going to be a lot of fun because where the Huntress sits is very close to the monk. It's very close to the mercenary as far as where it sits on the skill tree. So having access to those things, having the ability to jump into a spear, as you can see, this thing just kind of goes off and play with it. I'm really curious, like, yeah, Huntress looks cool, but I really want to know how this might work with a monk and playing along with a lot of the elemental affinity and play style that the monk already has built into it, right? We focus a lot with ice monks right now, but still there's lots of different ways you can approach that. And I really want to see how this will come to life with the Huntress. I'm really stoked on it if you can't tell, but we now have the Ascendancies for Huntress. So right here, it's basically this cool ability to, not blood boil, but the actual ascendancy itself is kind of like the Gemling Legionnaire. How the Gemling Legionnaire allows you to break portions of the game, right? Like, oh, you can have more support skills active and what have you. Well, Unfurled Finger gives us an additional ring slot. If I go a little bit further forward, increased bonuses gained from equipped rings and amulets. So you have a lot of that play style. Now, a cool one here too is Ritual Sacrifice. And there we go. So you'll be able to pull the modifier off of a boss, which is really rad. So you get a lot of like really fun playstyle with seeing any and all of these rare creatures. Now, this is worth noting too, that the base Huntress has the ability to tame, I almost said summon up, but tame beasts. So you can, any beast character you kill, a base mob, a rare, a unique, a boss, whatever, well, maybe not boss, you can then tame it and make it your own, which is really sick. So our next one here is focused more on the actual damage characteristics of charges, of melee, of being more of a martial style of Huntress. There is a focus here on elements, very minorly, but I think like, well, that one's just called elemental infusion, right? When you consume a power charge, gain cold lightning cold fire or lightning infusion based off of the different type of charge. But a lot of these abilities are like critical chance, based off of giving those additional benefits to the character to focus more on the actual javelin portion of things. And I'm wondering too what the next one would look like, right? What would a third one look like? Is it more of like a Beastmaster focusing on something like all the taming portion of this? Was that the Ritualist that we just saw? Because that's the other Ascendancy is Ritualist. So it'll be interesting to see what these Ascendancies look like as we get further with the Huntress, but Huntress is looking pretty sick. On the note of Ascendancies, let's quickly take a look at the 3 or 5, the new Ascendancies that are coming with us or to us. So with our new Ascendancies, the first one we get is for Warrior. And this one is the blacksmith that allows us to temper our weapon. It allows us to scale our fire damage into block chance, or I'm sorry, vice versa, block chance into fire damage. A lot of things that I think the warrior really needed. And what's really cool about this class is it's kind of like a blending of the Forge Master from Last Epoch, but one that's actually good. That's unfair. They probably got a patch and it's probably good now. But with your Ascendancy points, you now have this cool thing called Smith's Masterwork. You can only use normal body armor. Then this passive skill is free to allocate. So you get this no matter what. You just boot up the blacksmith and you've got it. And then you put points down below here to change how that body armor operates. Does it have 50% max health? Does it have more fire resist? Does it have more crit damage? Does it negate crit damage against you? All sorts of ways that you basically build out this armor in a custom suit. Or a custom specific body armor, almost like a custom built out unique. Now, this is cool because normal body armor has a lot of really cool looks that you never get to take advantage of because you're looking more for stats than anything else. But what I like about this too, there's lots of skill nodes and clusters that give you some sort of, hey, based off of this value of your body armor, you will get this reward. Some things to think about are like, say, the energy shield one in the monk. Or there's another one on monk too for helmet. Like there's a lot of specific body part related items that then give you specific bonuses. So now you can chase those because now you have built out a custom piece of body armor that rotates with how you are progressing the character. So this delivers a lot of fun and unique playstyle to the warrior in a cool way. Now, this next one here, this tactician, is more of a support role for the mercenary. So if you're used to playing the witch hunter and doing a lot of alpha striking, used to playing the jumping legionnaire and just doing a lot of crazy stuff, like really combining a lot of these skills and supports of stuff that you wouldn't normally go down. Like I have a friend, good old Fervor Gaming, that does a mercenary using a monk staff, and he basically uses the monk ice build but as a mercenary because jumping legionnaire. The tactician is more of a support class. You get multiple banners here. You get more buffs to those things based off of your main weapon damage. You have a really cool support skill that'll just rain down arrows here and supporting fire. So this gives you more of a support style play for the mercenary if you're looking for more of maybe a party-centric buffing style. Then lastly, we have the Lich here for the Necromancer, which is focused on chaos damage and summoning, playing in with mana as well as your energy shield to try to max amount of damage and support that you can do for your pets. One of the coolest things here too that they get is they can socket one non-unique basic jewel into their ascendancy tree, 100% increase effective socketed jewels, 50% more mana cost if you have no energy shield. So it plays a lot with energy shield and mana to try to pull benefits and using a lot of those things as currency for one another. So a lot of really cool stuff. So you have 50% more mana cost if you have no energy shield. And this one here, you and your allies in presence have unholy might while you're not on low mana, lose 5% of mana per second. So you're just draining your mana. Or cursed enemies killed by you or your allies in your presence have a 33% chance to explode using a quarter of their max life as chaos damage, and can apply an additional curse. Your curses can affect hexproof enemies. So those are our 3 new Ascendancies. I guess there's 5 total if you count the 2 from Huntress, but there's even more stuff coming that's going to change the way that we play Path of Exile 2. First one here is, of course, for the Necromancer is Specters. So they talked about this, right? Where you could use Spirit to then summon things that you've killed on the battlefield. Now you can use that. It's added into the game here with this patch that's coming. So you'll have the ability to just take advantage of those new spells. And if those that don't know, you can, if you kill anything, you can resurrect it as long as you've got the Spirit using the Spectre system, which is really, really fun here. Also, too, you get the summon Roa capability here. Look at this little guy. Look at this dude. He's just having some fun. Cavorting through the countryside on the back of a Roa. Look at this ranger just ripping and gripping on it. So you can have a lot of fun, play a little play a little mounted gameplay into this. But a ton of new support gems. A ton.
Currently, we feel that a lot of builds have insufficient options here.
Hold
to
on.
alleviate this, we're adding over 100 new support gems.
Yeah, not just like 5. 100 new support gems coming into the game. And that's drastically going to change tons of stuff here, right? So this one here, this is sort of cause bleeding. Supported skills consume bleeding on enemies they hit, critting for hemocrystals. So a lot of bleed play. Bleed also is a big part of, I think it was the Huntress has a way to aggravate bleed into one of their skills. So a lot of really cool support gems here. Unsteady tempo, profanity, supported skills consume a corpse within 5 meters on use. Supported skills deals 30% more chaos damage if it consumes a corpse. Retaliate. This is a really sick one for warriors that are focusing on using their shield, right? Supported skills deal up to 40% more attack damage, scaling up as your stun bar increases. So giving you just a big wallop of an ability because you're being able to just build with Retaliate here. So it's nice to see more support gems added in, which I think are going to give the builds that suffer some life and create a little bit of build diversity. We also have tons of new uniques. This one is one of my favorite ones because my main is an ice monk. So this grants you this level 19 Herald of Ash, Ice, and Thunder, plus 74 max life, plus 30% to all elemental resistance, and enemies in your presence have no elemental resistances. This is a body armor piece. Like, this is really damn good. This is solid. It has low armor and evasion rating, right? But the stats on it are so primo. So you can't unfortunately pull the benefits, say, of, hey, my body armor piece gives me these things because I'm playing this monk, right? So you have to kind of weigh the advantages here, but you free up all this spirit to do things with other things with your spirit. So a lot of really cool stuff is being added into the game for the uniques here, and they haven't even shown off a lot of it. They said they wanted to add more mid and high level uniques because there were too many lower level uniques. But of course, new uniques being added in too for the Huntress across spears and bucklers, but we'll also be getting unique charms. So those are going to be added in as well. So all that really kind of, do I want to combine this? Yeah, we'll go to the next one as well. Also, runes will be getting tiers, right? So now it always makes sense just to go for percentages. Now we actually have scaling, increasing rune tierage that gives us scaling damage amounts. So all those new improvements are coming to the game, but how does this all affect the end game? The real reason we play any action RPG. So one of the first things here is these new Asmirian Wisps, which are a new thing that'll just kind of be in the campaign as well as the end game. And they basically imbue a monster and make it whatever that specific wisp is. So it gives it a bunch of abilities. It adds a lot of challenge. It's basically like a dynamic boss that will jump around from creature to creature, kind of making things a little bit. This is what the wisp looks like. So this is a cool thing to do because as you kind of progress through this, you will get these specific gems. Well, talismans is what they're called, right? But they can only be socketed into gloves, gain 1 rage on melee hit, body armor, corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you. So stuff like that. So these wisps give you a new specific rune socket currency that you can use. And it also is in our Atlas skills, right? So we can play more with those capabilities. This is throughout the campaign up until the end, right? But now also with that the end game, we have a bunch of new maps. And in those maps too is the frequency of fun things, all the event style content that you can take advantage of. And one of the big things that they talked about too is that in the initial portions of the game, when you first jump in, you can hear some of the new maps. You're kind of just thrown to the deep end, like, yeah, here's the Atlas map, go have fun. Do 10 level 1s, and then you get an Atlas skill point. Do 10 level 2s, then you get an Atlas skill point. Well, they decided to make it a lot more unique, where you have to set specific objectives for points on the map to find specific maps to do them on, and it ultimately results in a way better experience, I think, for those that are jumping into the game. Hold on, don't jump there yet. Also, we get this whole new system where you get to fight waves of bosses. And as you go through these waves of bosses, you'll be granted new runes. And all of these runes are absolutely sick, right? So martial weapon, 8% increased skill speed, armor debuffs on you expire 8% faster. So you can see that they've done a really good job now of taking a look at, hey, what was the biggest hurdle to end game? Well, just the natural hurdle of the end game itself was a hurdle. So they tried to break that barrier down, make that end game less of a grind of just go kill maps, but focused on do these specific maps and pull these specific objective things from the map and you'll profit. So it makes getting your Atlas skills a little bit more of a less boring progression, right? Like I was scaling too fast and then I hit a hard wall. That wall I hit, I needed to get more stuff to unlock, and I couldn't push forward because my keystones were an issue. But I had to get 8 more wins on level 2 keystone, and it felt just very clunky. So this has removed a lot of that clunk and made the path to the end game a little more accessible, a lot more accessible, because you're not so bound to kind of keeping the pace of a specific content level, right? You can kind of push forward. But some of these maps, you're like, this new map is so sick. Man, it is so cool. So that's an example of one of the new maps. So a lot of really cool stuff here. And with it too, like, they have lots of other mechanics being added, and I am glossing over this, but they're going to allow you to also use vol orbs on any of these essence that you find, so that you can either increase the essence of what's there or get entirely different ones, right? Here you go. Greater essence body, then you get like insanity, or essence of insanity, greater essence of the body. So you can have fun with these new essences too that come into the map that will give you different benefits as well. So you've got, they're called corrupted essence. I was trying to jump to the point where it shows you, but you can get these corrupted essences, which will give you just specific benefits, like using a vol orb and have it only give you benefits rather than it giving you penalties. So lots of little cool things that you can do to tweak that end game experience to make it less of a, hey, just get this currency, sell this currency, or buy these things, do this set progression point. It's got a little bit more flexibility, which I really like. Also too, with the end game, they've added in these rogue exiles. If you've played Dark Souls, you've been invaded by the NPCs before, right? And it's in Elden Ring, and Bloodborne. This is the same thing. You can get basically invaded by these exiles. If they kill you, and that's that. But if you kill them, you can see here, has Demonic Stitcher equipped, has Bushwhack equipped. So this tells you that they've got that equipped. You kill them, they drop it. So it's like a full loot drop. It's pretty cool. So these NPC exiles have apparently very challenging AI. No one has any hands-on experience of that yet, right? So it'll be fun to get a sense for how this really plays out. What kind of items you can get from this. Can you find them? Can you hunt them? Whatever way it is. It seemed to be just random as you're going through maps, but it's a cool way to add an exciting level or element to that map. We go, oh, dude, that guy has a really good item. I want to go ahead and kill them quickly so I can get that. Because if you don't, if you die to them, they teleport out. So you just have to make sure you commit to it and try and get them down, or else boom, they leave. So there's a bunch of different ones that have a bunch of different personalities and whatnot, so you can take advantage of those. Also, strong boxes will be added into the game, will actually give you a lot better of an experience. We already have something kind of like the strong boxes, but contains an additional unique item corrupted with an enchantment. So you can see that these have a little bit more going for them. They're not called strong boxes right now. I can't remember the term for them, but they're not as cool. This is much better of a system, I think. Also, too, corruption has been changed. What's the other one? What I really like, though, here is they've kept the challenge of the end game on things that are, hey, if you die here, you lose here. But they've also added a little bit of forgiveness to it. So you can now go through a lot of these tablet maps and everything like that, and you don't lose experience for certain things. And also you'll get the ability to respawn on certain things. So they've added in more of an insulation so people can actually access certain things without just kind of getting heavily penalized depending on what it is. So the death changes, that's what I was talking about right here. They've also given you certain events that, okay, hey, you're not going to lose experience if you die here, but it doesn't give you experience. But they'll be really hard, and like right here, you're trying to respawn into it. So this gives you the chance to push through stuff that is killing you, and you're like, well, I don't want to even attempt it, because if I die, I lose experience, and that experience loss is punishing. Well, now, hey, you can do some of these endgame events, like these waystones, and it'll give you a set number of respawns on that. Number of portals 1, that's your respawn number, and it won't actually hurt you in certain regard. It's depending on what it is and how that experience plays out. It all depends on the actual event you're doing. But it's a similar system to what they've added in already with the pinnacle bosses. So it's a really cool thing here. One of the last things that we're getting added in is this new recombination, which is going to affect any of the expedition endgame events. So basically you use the actual items you get from that to get more worthwhile items, because before it was just kind of a little lackluster. So a lot of big changes, and I've paraphrased a ton of them to try to just give you the down and dirty here. But I'm beyond excited to jump back into Path of Exile 2 once this patch goes live. The biggest thing here is, right, like, we don't have a set date. Also, they're adding in.
Available to purchase in Path of Exile 2 and contain 6 microtransactions each and the full pack's face value in points.
Yeah, so they've added more support packs. They've added the strong, or not the strong box. There's a specific thing from those that you get. I think it's reliquary keys. The specific things you get from those support packs are now in the game. So what this also is going to be doing here is introducing a new league. And what does that mean? Right? Like, how does this affect you? Have you ever played Path of Exile? Do you know what a league is? So leagues are like seasons if you've ever played Diablo 2, 3, and 4, where you start a brand new character that is playing with those new abilities, new stuff. What they've said, though, is all of these changes are coming to the base early access standard league as is. So your character that you're playing right now on Path of Exile will take advantage of all these things coming. You don't have to worry about it. But they are also making a new league for those that want to start fresh in a brand new economy. That's the biggest thing here, right? They have an economy refresh with it. So you don't need to worry about restarting a brand new character or anything like that, unless you want to. That league is open to you, but you can just simply play all this with your existing stuff, try what you want, and then table it until the next class comes out, or maybe when full release comes out, whatever it is. But there's a lot of fun things coming. I'm stoked. I'm excited. But I want to know, what are you guys most excited for? Are you guys excited about that Huntress? Are you stoked on some of those Ascendancies? Are you stoked on... I've listened to a lot of TPR lately, if you can't tell. Oh, I don't want that. Are you stoked on the new Rogue Exiles? Are you stoked on a lot of the new Endgame changes? Because that was a big holdup, right? People love the process to getting to Endgame, but when they got to Endgame, it became too grindy for them, or it just didn't become engaging enough. And I think now this gives us a lot of really fun tools. I don't think it's like the best, right? Like, I don't think they're like, oh, all of my woes have been fixed, but they're adding tons of uniques, monsters, maps, everything. So they're adding variety because, of course, this was just early access, and they're really starting to kick out a lot of really big content with this patch. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.